therapy helped me to feel heard. Society can be really judgmental over someone who is reacting so strongly, and phobias are very taboo and not normal. And I swear I'm not a crazy person, but I have these anxious tendencies. I'm like a normal person now. Hello, Huckleberries. Welcome to a little chit-chat, mental health, life experience kind of video. Something I've been meaning to share with you guys for a while, so I hope this is helpful or interesting to you guys. But I want to talk about my experience of having pretty severe arachnophobia and how I can say today that I'm cured. It's not to say that I find spiders cute or that I don't have situations where a spider frightens me, but all in all, I don't have a phobia of spiders anymore. I think what I'm gonna do is talk about what I was like as a child, what led me to eventually seeking out spider therapy or phobia therapy, you could say, what that experience was like, and then how traveling has also really helped me in this kind of healing journey and how I am today. This is gonna be a long one, I think. Before I dive right in, I just wanna say that I've partnered up with betterhelp.com, which provides affordable online counseling. I'm gonna be talking about my experience going to therapy for this. Honestly, the same type of therapy that I was getting in person, you could actually be getting at betterhelp.com. So whether you have anxiety, depression, or something a little quirkier, something that you might be embarrassed about, like arachnophobia or any phobia for that matter, betterhelp.com is super helpful. So I will link it down below. You can go to tryonlinetherapy.com/holli.huckleberry, and that helps me out a lot. Okay, so let's just dive right in. I'll start as a child, what it was like, but as far as my memory goes back, I was terrified of spiders. We had these little itty bitty hoppy spiders. We called them hoppy spiders, and I don't know what they're actually called, but maybe you know what I'm talking about. But they're just itty bitty little spiders that stay in the windowsill. I was terrified of those, so let alone imagining daddy long legs or bigger spiders. So it was always a pretty severe fear. It was absolutely within that category of phobia where it's completely irrational and does kind of affect my decisions. For instance, I hated camping, not because I didn't enjoy being outdoors, but because I was terrified of spiders. So right around the age of 16, I remember my phobia getting pretty severe. I think it just came with gaining more independence. So I had a car, and I had a few instances where spiders would be in my car, and it absolutely terrified me, and I wasn't able to drive. I would not be able to drive the next day, the next 2 days, or I would be spending an obscene amount of time looking through my vehicle before getting into it. So it really was affecting my day-to-day life. Also, bathrooms. Small spaces definitely trigger more of my arachnophobia than large spaces, but I also had to look up and down searching for spiders every time I went into a bathroom. So it was a very anxious time in my life. I will share one really funny story. I love telling this story, but when I had just gotten my license, I was driving this really beat up minivan. I had gone to a bonfire, and me and my friend were driving back. I got pulled over, and I didn't know why. Turns out it was my tail light that was out, but I got pulled over. I had just gotten my license. There were 2 police officers, and they were in back checking my ID. And while they were back there, this just massive spider just crawls right in front of my face on the windshield, on the inside of the car, and I'm like panicking. So this is like a really beat up old van, my first car. It had one of those automatic seatbelts. I was just in such a state of panic, I couldn't even unbuckle. So I weaseled my way out of the arm belt and the waistband, jumped over my friend, jumped out of the car in front of 2 cops. So of course they breathalyzed me, thank goodness I was sober, and I tried to explain to them what had happened and that I have a really terrible fear of spiders, but I really probably looked like I was tripping on like mushrooms or something, or drugs, whatever. But I had to get back in the car, and these officers were watching me, of course, so like I had to get back in. My friend couldn't find the spider, so I get in, I'm, bawling, shaking everywhere, I can't move my legs or my arms, and I drove us home. My friend actually held the steering wheel. I kept one foot on the pedals, one foot curled up because I kind of just would get into this fetal position. And then, yeah, I couldn't drive for like a week after that. So it's funny to tell that story, the time that I got breathalyzed when I was 16, or the time I made a fool of myself in front of cops. But at the time, it was so serious, and to think that I was allowing fear to really take over my life. So right around that age, I ended up going to therapy. I just started doing a little bit of research online, and there's actually two types of therapy that are common with phobias. And one of them is hypnosis, and then there's more of a traditional therapy. So there was no one that offered hypnosis in my area in Minnesota. So I just went to just a normal therapist, someone that was probably covered under my insurance. I don't really remember, I was 16, but I would go every week. Basically, I was able to attach it to a few memories as a child and attach it to maybe feelings of being ignored, feelings of neglect, just little things. It wasn't anything crazy. I've lived a relatively normal life. I think that is probably where the arachnophobia started. It just happened when I was really little because I have no memory of not being afraid. So that was kind of the first step of therapy, was just talking about it and starting to identify that it might not actually be the spider that you're afraid of, but it's just been your whole life. So it's really hard to train your brain otherwise. A few other practices that we did, they're really silly. Like, as I am about to tell you, it sounds very silly to me, but I think it helped a lot. One activity was closing my eyes and then imagining different sorts of spiders in different scenarios, and just kind of walking my way through those scenarios and not dying and not getting hurt and being okay through those little practices. The final phase that I remember, printing out photos. So I actually had to go home and search for pictures of really terrifying spiders. I had to find, I think, 3 of the most terrifying photos. That was awful, but I did it. I printed out my 3 pictures, brought them in, and we put them on the ground. So I had to see them, and they were there. So it's like a spider's on the ground almost. And I had to name them and give them little backstories and give them personalities. It just humanized the spiders just enough that I don't know why it worked, but it did actually help. Quickly thereafter, I was able to look up photos of spiders and see movies with spiders, and that wasn't really a problem anymore. That really actually helped a lot. And eventually, it just kind of felt useless to keep going to therapy because I was going for that specific reason. So I stopped going. Moving forward throughout my high school years, I still had a bad fear, but I wasn't investing quite the amount of energy and time into anticipating spiders, and I've calmed out a lot as I've gotten older. Really, life just kind of went on. As I started to identify my love for travel, I wanted to travel and I wanted to go out to all of these places, but I was honestly not wanting to because of the spiders, which, saying that now, I'm just so glad that I was able to really push myself towards that fear, and I'm really grateful for that. I don't know what instilled that in me or where that came from, but I started to realize that I really wanted to travel, and I really wanted to try things like camping. So my trip to Montana, the trip that inspired my YouTube channel, that inspired me to really change my whole life, that was the big testing moment where I was genuinely afraid of going camping. So that was a huge stepping stone, and that wasn't until I was 24, I think. So that was the next stage, I suppose, was, not even until 10 years later that I kind of reached this point where I was gonna stop letting spiders influence my decision making. So I was planning on moving into my car and traveling, and yes, spiders were still on my mind. It was still a genuine fear, especially because I've had a very lengthy history of spiders popping in on me in my car. I didn't even mention this before. Minnie the Mazda, I hope you guys know who Minnie the Mazda is, but the car that I owned before then was a Chevy Cavalier. I sold that Chevy Cavalier. One of those reasons, not the only reason, but one of the reasons I sold it was because I kept getting spiders in there. And it was just causing me so much stress on a regular basis. Even through my adult years, yes, it was still influencing my decisions in big ways, like getting rid of my car. It's just it's so crazy. But it's true. Anywho, eventually I move into Minnie the Mazda, I go traveling, I keep it on my mind, but I really just got comfortable and I wasn't so nervous about spiders. But I got to go to, Washington State, Oregon, places that I was genuinely freaked out of seeing spiders. As I spent the majority of my time in nature, being immersed in nature, I really stopped minding spiders being in nature. It doesn't mean I want a spider in the bathroom with me or in my car with me, but layer by layer, I've gradually identified what scares me and what I'm willing to compromise on, all with the intention of living my best life and being my best self. I'm not doing it for the spiders. I still, at that point in my life, said that I hated spiders and that I was afraid of spiders, but I would not have moved out to Hawaii that year previously. I would have been too nervous. But I pushed myself into driving all over the country, being in many places that have large spiders, and I was ready to come to Hawaii, the place where there are no poisonous things, but I am genuinely not afraid of the poison. I am afraid of seeing it and being near it and having it on me. It's never a health risk that I'm thinking about when I'm feeling that fear. Since coming out here, I actually started to feel free of my fear. You can just see how thick it is here, and I really just got used to walking through spider webs every day. The little garden spiders, they're chilling, and then there's the kind of bigger scary ones with the colors, and I just started to watch them more and appreciate them more and slow down and take photographs and take video. And I am surrounded by jungle, so who am I to come in here and tell them to leave or disrupt their natural patterns? So the spiders living in their webs, I adapted to very, very quickly, and that was really when I started to ask myself, am I afraid of spiders anymore? Because I'm seeing these spiders all the time and I'm not feeling fear, no stress, and yet I'm around more spiders than I had ever noticed before, at least. So the reason I've been pushed to make this video, though, is because I feel like I've recently been tested. I went on a 3-week trip to Canada, and then I went to Minnesota, as I'm sure you guys have seen the videos. I was in Canada, and there were these very, creepy spiders. I'm at the airport leaving, and one of those spiders is on me, and I brushed it off, stood up, squished it. I do still kill spiders. And I look up and my friend, who I had explained sometime during that week that I was afraid of spiders. And he goes, "That was a scary spider. You were really calm. Are you even afraid of them?" And I was like, "Oh, well, you're right. I was calm. I didn't panic and I didn't want it on me, but I reacted the most reasonably I've really ever reacted." And there wasn't any physical reaction other than just brush it off, stand up, squish. Bim, bam, boom. It was like butter. And so then I go back to Hawaii. Recently into me returning to Hawaii, we get this just massive spider living right in our walkway. So Sam and I, we do this little walk to our hut every night, and this huge spider builds this gorgeous web, and it's right there. And thankfully we saw it, because if I did have that on me, I would probably scream. But I saw it there, and it's just fat, just massive. Every morning we would wake up and we'd do our little walk, and it would be gone. And then it would come back the next night. And it's kind of just been living on our walkway, and it does go high up, so it's not really in the way, but I'm just letting it be. The more I look at it, the more I am actually thinking how beautiful it is. 10 years ago, I would have slept in the car. I would have slept on the road. I would have been frozen from ever walking that walkway. I would have had to just climb through this jungle behind me, which probably has even more spiders in it, but that's how irrational I used to be. So I'm starting to really connect how far I've come. And then, last week, we got a wolf spider. Or it was a cane spider. I'm actually not positive which one it was, because Hawaii has both, and they're both disgusting. But we had either a wolf spider or a cane spider in our kitchen late at night. Yes, I was avoiding the kitchen after dark, because it would come out after dark to hunt. And it was the biggest spider I've ever seen. Yeah, definitely the biggest spider I've ever seen. But the first time I saw it, I was all alone. I don't want it to live, you know, I don't want it in my space. Like I said, if I'm outside, I don't care. If I'm inside, I care. So I just go grab the broom and I battle it. And I'm like having this little broom battle. It got away. Those things are fierce. That was the biggest spider I've ever seen. It was like arguably the grossest spider I've ever seen. And the fact that I was able to even interact with the spider directly and try to kill it was insane. So the spider was living in our kitchen for a week. And then finally the Airbnb guest that was staying with us at the time got it into a box and then brought it elsewhere. So we didn't end up killing it. I'm not mad about it being alive somewhere else. I just don't want it in the kitchen. Thank you so much. Stop crawling on my stuff. But I was functioning in that kitchen. And in fact, while that wolf spider was living in the kitchen, I was in the kitchen having my tea one morning and I saw a little spider in my mug and I flicked it off and it was on me. And then I like kind of got a little startled because I thought I had flicked it away. But then I finished drinking my tea. So it's just like these little things have happened to me in the last couple of weeks where I'm like, oh my God, Holly, you are a badass. You are not an arachnophobic anymore. And I'm just really excited about that because it really did take over my life for a while. And I can easily say over the last 10 years, I have been slowly peeling away these layers of discomfort. And now I'm living a very functionable life. Now that I'm not as afraid to kill spiders, because I was not able to kill spiders for a very long time because I just was frozen. But once I reached that point where I could kill spiders, now I'm actually reaching this next level where I'm just letting them live their lives. And turns out they want nothing to do with me, you know? It's crazy to think how little me would panic over these itty bitty hoppy spiders, and now I'm living alongside some of the most terrifying spiders I've ever seen. So Hawaii definitely has helped me in that, and just traveling in general and not letting fear dictate your decisions, because I let fear dictate my decisions for a long time and I'm just done with that, you know? So I just wanted to share this experience with you guys. I probably am forgetting stuff. I have like 100 like really funny spider related stories where I just make a fool of myself, you know, ripping my shirt off in public because I think there's a spider on me, you know, just stupid shit that's not worth investing your energy into. So yeah, I don't know. Bug. Let's not even mention centipedes. I hate centipedes, but the Hawaii centipedes I really, really appreciate, and I love watching them. And yes, they're kind of gross and creepy, but they're not that gross and they're not that creepy. Like, they're just living their lives. I'm living my life. I'm gaining a little bit more harmony and balance and calm. So if you guys are out there and you have a phobia, it might not be spiders. It could be anything, but if you have a phobia and you are tired of investing all of that energy, I would recommend making those changes, because when I was 16 and I did, you know, a month of therapy, however long it was, that already improved my life. And yet it took another 10 years of just living and slowly pushing myself into the next level that now today I can easily say I'm not afraid most of the time. Just to mention our sponsor today, betterhelp.com. Again, they can easily provide you with the same sort of resources that I had. Just having someone to listen to you and you don't have to feel stupid or insecure. Try onlinetherapy.com/holli.huckleberry, and that helps me out a lot too. So what did you guys think of this video? I'm really excited to read your comments. I love talking about this sort of thing and I love sharing my journey with you guys. So share your experiences down below, any advice, any experiences, any struggles. I cannot wait to talk to you guys down below. So please do that. Thanks for letting me ramble a little bit. I hope it wasn't too much for you guys. I hope you're all doing really well, and I look forward to seeing you all again soon with another video.